All right, we're back to the only party in town. It's dragging out further than I planned, but that's the way it goes. This is all good. As they say, the only party in town, the supper. I have two main references I have so far. That's Matthew 8:11 and Luke 14, where the Master makes reference to the only party in town. If you don't make it to this VSOP, you're out of luck. That's the word gad in Hebrew. You're no good. Okay? As my younger brother Joshua would say, it's all bad. It's not good at all to miss this banquet. Now, I went into some of the criteria. Then I mentioned being ready being ready when the Lord comes. That's a big part of this, which is the rapture, and pertaining to our time frame, because we're at rapture time right now. We're at Daniel's 69th and 70th weeks, somewhat here. And blessed are those servants, and blessed is that servant. So the Master says, blessed are those servants. Then he says, blessed is that servant. So what's the most important word probably in the Bible? The one the Master mentions the most. And why does he mention that? Because he's emphasizing your life and the period of you on this plateau. He's emphasizing your servant mind as your ticket out of here. That's why he doesn't make a reference to you being privileged too much at all. Because it's a dangerous way to go. That's why he told Peter, you're the devil. Because he was talking about privilege. That's why Jesus called TV preachers, essentially a lot of them, wolves in sheep's clothing, because they're the devil. Why? Because they're always talking about privilege all the time. Privilege today, privilege tomorrow. The ATM's in the back of the church. He called Peter the devil. Get away from me, get away from me, Satan, because you don't have your mind on service. Oh, Jeremiah, is that really what it means? Duh. Abidah in Hebrew. Abidah, Abigail, father's joy. Abigail. Abigail is a very important Hebrew word. It means father's happy. That's our goal here. We're here to try to make God happy, and that's our goal. Let's move on. So, blessed is that servant. Blessed are those servants. That where I am, my servants will be also, and servant. If you want to be great, put on the servant's mind of all. Oh my goodness. Servant. Okay. You call me Master and Lord, and that's who I am. He didn't say you call me Master and Lord, and I'm your sugar daddy, and I'm your best friend. You call me homie. No. Jesus is Master, basically, period. And it's sad to see that a lot of people, they try to twist it. I tell you that story. You probably have people. This is generic, where you've run into people who try to talk about Jesus as though he's a dirigible friend. He's there to do kind of what you want to do. He lets you play with sin or do this or that. He's my buddy. In other words, lower his status. You have to be careful lowering the status of Jesus Christ. You better watch yourself. Because if you say he's your friend, you better make sure he's Master first. As a matter of fact, what did Jesus do? Let's talk about that for a minute, because this is all part of getting to the party. You're not going to get to the party until you listen to other things other than the scriptures I'm going to quote you here. Right? Because the Master said, you call me Master and Lord, and that's who I am. And henceforth, I'm going to start calling you friends. But what did they do first in order to get called friend? As Paul said, put this mind in you. You got to put that mind in you. Which was also in Christ Jesus. Who, although being equal to God, thought it not robbery to come down here, deal with a lot of mess just for a piece of garbage like Jeremiah, and he thought it not robbery. He wasn't offended at the job. And you have to have the same mind where you're not offended at the scriptures that tell you to dig in and be a soldier. Instead of a wimpy TV tech guy or whatever, where it's all about you enjoying things with new Levi's and new cars and whatever. Let's move on to Luke 12:33. This is Jeremiah with New Covenant. We're going right back into part 3. We greet you in the only name given amongst men. This should be 126C. The only party in town. The supper, the banquet. Now let's get into some criteria. Now, it's interesting, the Master repeats basically the same thing over and over again. And it's sad to see so many people just don't, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. If people don't want to concentrate, it's on them. It's rather simple. That the Master's repeating the same thing over and over again. Now when he, his Lord, cometh. So, did you do what you were supposed to do before the Lord came? Which is verse 33, sell that you have, give alms. How many times does the Master say, sell that you have? Directly or indirectly? How many times? And give alms to the poor. Verse 34, heart location. Where's your heart? If your heart's in heaven and you're focused on heaven, you're not going to focus on your money. You're not going to squeeze it. You're going to let it go. Why? Because you don't love it. But if you love it, you can't let it go. I can't let it go, man. The young rich ruler told Jesus, basically, I can't let it go. You're telling me I have to give everything away to go to heaven? I'm going to hold on to what I got, man. Well, that's the bottom line. And the Master telling you in verse 34, your heart location is where your money is. And he says, sell that you have. What does that mean? Does that mean you can hold on to your money? Or are we equivocating and we're lost here? No, I'm not lost. Sell that you have means sell that you have. That's what it means. I've had some Bible teachers recently tell me that that's not what it means. They have rich friends and so forth who go to church. Well, listen, they're on dangerous turf because the Master repeatedly says, sell that you have. The only person who got away with not selling all they had was Zacchaeus, who gave half of his goods away. So you better be about at least giving away half. That would be my conclusion. You want to get down to brass tacks? I'll get down with okay. And how serious is this? Well, there was a rich man who held on to his money, and he woke up in flames. That's how serious it is. The Master said he basically woke up in flames. That's not good. Which means sharing is much more serious in the American dream than Americans are giving it. I've had Republicans come on TV, candidates who say that being rich is not a bad idea or the American dream, and I own a gold toilet, and it's okay. I'm still a legitimate Christian, yada, 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 yada. And you know what it is? It's nonsense. It's inconsistent with the word of the Lord, and you're not the Lord, sir, Mr. Governor, or whatever you are. I heard one of the presidents trying to make excuses for the owner of one of these Walmart store type guys, and he said, oh, he has so much money, and well, blah, blah, it's okay, or something. Okay, you said it's okay, sir. I didn't say it was okay. And did the Master say it was okay? I don't think so. It's 4th, 5th, 7th grade grammar here. This is not difficult, people. You, beloved, who love Jesus Christ with all of your heart, soul, mind, and strength, ooh, this doesn't look good for a lot of people. And one of our prime examples is the man who woke up in flames, who saved a lot of money for the last days of retirement. It's quite obvious what happened. It's very simple grammar here. Verse 35, your loins girded about, lights burning, meaning you're active. Jeremiah right now, his loins are girded about and he's active, and my light is burning right now. I'm active. I have an office going, and I'm working in the office. By the Lord's power and by His grace, I'm working. And my heart is located in verse 34 in heaven. You could take anything off of me right now, and whoop-de-doo. Why? Because I don't have anything anyway. I don't have anything really to basically take. You want to take my thrift store clothing or something? Take it. I go right back to the thrift store over there. Go get it again. Jeremiah, you seem to be giving me a pretty good mindset of what the basic Christianity is, especially the new covenant. But that's my goal here. My goal is to tell you what the agreement is. And the agreement has criteria. And the criteria is very simple. I had fourth graders who can soak this up and go home. We can have recess and have some burgers and stuff. But this is the Bible study is not that difficult. Now, when I get into faith, my faith lesson's right over here. I'm going to do faith, hope, and love 2021. And I'm going to probably put that before my old faith lesson because I'm going to refine it and make it easier to understand. Faith, hope, and love. Now, that's going to get a little deep. But the only party in town in the criteria, it only has a few pieces of data. It's not that much at all. We talked about how God is good and merciful, and that's why you're going to the party number one. But the criteria for your responsibility and what you're going to yield to, and it might happen on the Lord's day. I mean, on the rapture day, you need to be ready for the party. Because we're at rapture time, I inserted Luke 12, and your loins girded about, burning. And that's basically private, not public activities. The Beatitudes are basically private, and the next chapter is also private. 5 and 6. Give in secret, fast in secret, pray in secret. It sounds pretty secret to me. Sell all you have. That's to be done in secret. Where's your heart location? Okay, that goes back to what? Matthew chapter 6. It's the same sermon. It's the same message. But Luke has a slightly different take than Matthew does. It's a little jambalaya there, but it all came out good, didn't it? Who's going to the party? The dead people can't go. And that's one of the main points the Master is making here. The Master is saying that the party is not for the dead people because their lights are not burning. Doing what? They're not in service. They're AWOL for one reason or another. And Luke 12:37 is some people are going to be burning, and when he comes, they're going to be AWOL, not good. Matthew 12:37 deals with other aspects of the party, which is, are you ready at death or are you ready at the rapture moment? And he's basically saying that people who aren't serving him are dead. That's why the Master told the gentleman, let the dead bury the dead. I want you to get into church work with me and don't go to the funeral. Join the team here of the disciples. We don't really have funerals here. We raise the dead people here. You want to go hang around people who are sad about death? Oh, it's so sad, Billy died. Well, that's good. It's good that you're sharing the grief with people. However, fundamentally, it's not bad for Billy because Billy's supposed to be in heaven. That's the point. And when you go to the funeral, are they crying because they are acknowledging he's in heaven, or are they crying because they're sad because he's gone, and there are different reasons, but Jesus told the gentleman, let it go. Come join us because we're talking about eternal life through my words. So come and join us. So the master is giving the same precept here, the idea that the living go to the party. And it's very simple to identify those who are living because they're on the love, truth, recovery team. Because that's what Christianity is. Christianity is a love and truth recovery team where we're taking people off of their flights from reality to flights to reality. Okay? Are you on the love team? Yes or no? That's why he said, gird your loins girded about, which the master does himself in Revelation chapter 1. Now, so the dead cannot attend the supper or my banquet. So the busy bees in the church office, selling all, see, giving all. He goes back to this a few times. And I talk to pastors a lot. Well, recently I've talked to a few pastors, fellow Bible teachers, and you can tell that they don't get this. That this is the fundamental principle of Christianity, what the master is talking about here. This is not a side issue. It's a huge issue in terms of the word charity and what love means. That Jesus told Zacchaeus he was saved the moment he was going to give 50% of his money away. This is extremely significant. That the American dream has twisted my perspective? No way, Jose. Americanism and a twisted perspective of Christianity and republicanism or democratism, and no, it has not affected Jeremiah at all. Rich is bad news, end of story. Okay, you got that? And it's right here, simple in black and white. Sell that you have. Luke chapter 6. Woe to you that are rich, for you have been consoled. If the American dream is to be consoled, I don't want it. Because the master just said, you're going downstairs because you were consoled. He told the disciples, you're not consoled, and blessed are you because you have the kingdom of God. This is 4th, 5th, 7th grade grammar, and I'm sharing some more with this, but I see in the future that Jeremiah is not going to get into this much anymore. We're going to talk about mercy and God's love a lot, like what happened to the woman here. We're going to focus on that love of mercy that God gave that woman. That's going to be a big focus of ours. David talks about it a lot, and I'm going to talk about it a lot. We're going to get away from these requirements, sound doctrine requirements, to put in, don't have itching ears, and, don't fall into the love of money, and don't be subverted, and don't start bragging about your deeds. Galatians chapter 1, we're getting away from all that. Basic teachings are winding down here for Jeremiah. I'm going to start spending more time in the Old Testament, especially with David, and a little bit with Solomon and stuff. We're going to get into some other things. We're going to get into some support team stuff. Solomon's a very good, what's the word? He's a very good underpinnings kind of guy. He's not good with bottom line stuff. The master's good with bottom line stuff. You want to go bottom line? Go red letters. That's bottom line. He's giving you the bottom line here. And when he said sell what you have, he's not wasting his breath. Just because there's 50 Republicans who contradict him on TV, okay, excuse me, I'm not preaching against people who are confused and hating them or angry with them. I'm just telling you that they're contradicting the master, and all I better say is, look out. Because you may come on TV well dressed and say that you have Christian values and you went to church, but if you're hoarding, you are doing what? You're disobeying the number 10 commandment, which is repeated right here in your face 1,000 ways a Sunday. Okay? Done deal. Jeremiah is done with this aspect of getting in the door. He's giving you the criteria. I just gave it to you. Now, the criteria was much more simpler to get to the only party in town, which was this man is confident that Jesus Christ can heal, which means he probably wants to have affection for Jesus Christ, and he probably believes other things that are related to faithing and pleasing God and having confidence in many different areas, which is what Christianity is. There's 100 ways a Sunday to have confidence in God. But the primary one is, of course, the blessed hope. That's your big belief, which is the end of all of your other beliefs. Let's keep going. Sell what you have. So the living go to the party, and the living are living because they did the same thing Zacchaeus did. What did Zacchaeus do? He gave a whole lot of money to the church. He's basically no longer rich. He's no longer hoarding. That's why the master told him, you're saved. How can be saved, or being saved be related to your money and not being rich? You ask the master. Don't ask me. He's the one who set the criteria. He said he's the son of Abraham right now. And he's basically saved, good deal. By giving a lot of money away, we have evidence that you have a heart of circumcision, you care for people, and you're obedient to the Lord. You're not covetous, and the Lord is saying, I'm satisfied at this point. And it's primarily related to what? Cash on hand. Jeremiah, I don't get that. The American dream and the ex-president said he can buy a gold toilet and blah blah. Listen, okay, you want to listen to him? You listen to him. I'm not going to listen to him. That's why. Let me tell you. I just gave a lesson on politics. I'm not going to go back to it again. But that's why I have a little bit of a beef with some of my Christian pastors who are republicanism stuff, neoclassical, zealots and so forth. I'm not a zealot. I'll never be a zealot. Because if you want me to find out something wrong with your Republican candidate, I can find it in 5 seconds flat why I don't want to vote for him. You want me to do it? And why you probably shouldn't be supporting him. There are obvious reasons why I agree with you why you're supporting him, but there are also obvious reasons why you shouldn't be. What if your candidate has never repented or been baptized, and you're excited? Oh God, this guy's great. He's going to do things good. What if he hasn't repented and he hasn't been baptized? Should you be happy with him and supporting him and shaking your fist at him how good a job he's doing? I don't think so. Because your job is to get his soul saved. What if he dies tomorrow doing good things for you in the White House, but he didn't repent? That's called you are what? What are you? You are a what? You're an enabler. Period. Christianity and politics is deep. Jeremiah can get deep with you here. Life is not kindergarten anymore. It shouldn't be. It gets a little complicated. The gospel can be approached very simply. I believe, I want to love God, and I want to do the right thing. We can always reduce it down to that. That's fine for a lot of people. But for those of you who have time on your hands, God's going to probably demand from you that you use your mind, because he said, love me with your mind. That's what Jeremiah is doing right here. And oftentimes, Christianity can get like an algebra problem. Calculus. You better believe it. But you're not supposed to run from that. Busy bees in the church should have some office selling all their alms, expecting little in return, because the master's going to go into that again. The master goes into giving and not getting anything in return in general for church work over and over and over again. 3rd grade grammar. I turned my TV on. The guy said, you should look for returns. When Jesus said give a banquet, invite people who don't have any money. Expecting nothing again. Okay, who's right? The TV bozo who I don't know how he got past the 12th grade, or the master just told you, expecting nothing again. Give, expecting nothing again. And when you get nothing again, that means you're storing up in heaven. That means you believe there is a heaven. That means that you believe that God's going to give you something when you die or you're in the rapture. For not getting nothing again. 4th to 8th grade grammar, we're not going over predicate nominatives. We're not going over transitive verbs. We're going over just simple 4th to 5th grade stuff here. And I'm just about done with this. Okay? With this whole idea of going through the doctrine of Christ, what the basics are. We're going through a lot of the basics right now. And the Master's repeating them over and over again. He's saying the same thing he said in Luke 6. The same thing he said in Matthew 5 and Matthew 6. The same thing he told disciples in the Great Commission. Go, get out of here, you know. When you go into a town, do this, and don't carry a wallet with you. Whoa, how can a TV preacher walk around with no wallet? Wow, that's strange. There's a little bit of difference between the original preachers and the ones now. I got to tell you that, if they can't carry a purse. And he told them, blessed are you poor. I mean, okay, wait a minute, okay. In other words, the TV is the devil, essentially. That's what it is, isn't it? They curve the earth for you. My movies that I have, classic movies, the earth is flat all the time, the water. I don't care how far you go left or right on the seascape. 100 miles, you can put a ruler there every time. But in 1960, all of a sudden, what happened? It's bent. Now, am I an artist who's bozo? No, I'm an artist who when I used to paint the beach a lot. Not a lot, but a little. I enjoyed painting at the beach. I wasn't very good at it, but... So I know whether the horizon line's straight or not, or it looks like a U. Okay, come on. I mean, okay, it's not that difficult. You know, and I'm not Sherlock Holmes kind of thing. You know, I don't notice everything, but that's quite obvious. Okay, come on. And the banquet reveals the first big party for revealing the true servants, and that's what the Master is doing here. They're alive because they're active. Active people are alive, and that means that you can be raptured. That's what he's saying. You can be raptured at any moment, and you could die at any moment, and you're in like flint. That's what he's saying. You're in. And he that humbleth himself shall be exalted, which means, exalted means to lift up. You can't be lifted if you're in the pit. God's not going to lift you out of a pit. You have to be doing exactly and compliant to what we just went through here. And there's more things to be compliant about. Because you made an agreement to be compliant. You made an agreement to be charitable. You made an agreement when you repented and you were baptized to be compliant to being loving the Lord and everything that is adjacent and part and parcel with that. And he's doing that right now, telling you what loving him is right now. So that you are fulfilling his royal law. And the banquet is going to reveal people who were active. And he's saying, I'm going to exalt you or lift you based upon you joining the love team and getting off your can and being active in loving people and doing church work, which is helping up and binding up the brokenhearted and doing poor people work, which is obviously what he's saying here in verse 33. Luke 16:13, basically what you're present and accounted for. That's the point. For either he will do what? You're going to pick a team and you're going to join a team. You're going to join the greedy team and enjoy the world, or you're going to join the team that is selling all they have and looking for heaven and storing up treasures in heaven by doing what? putting on a posthumous mind as far as your returns are, which is simple fourth grade grammar, which is expecting nothing again. That's not hard to figure out. And when he mentions in Luke 6, getting things from people pressed down, shaken together, given to your bosom, it's not what the TV guy said who doesn't understand the entire context of chapter 6. The entire context of chapter 6 is poor is good. So why would he tell you you're going to get a whole lot back, especially when he just said expecting nothing again? No, it's referring to you getting agape love and care and thanks from people for being a servant. That's what he's telling you you're going to get, and that's what you should enjoy, because there's more to life than food and raiment, and there's love out there. And you're supposed to be just like Father, who rendered to me the things that I want. And what I want is your heart, and I don't worry about material things. I own a cattle on 1,000 hills. Why should I hug a cow, or why should I hug a car? I want born-again people who know that love is what it's all about, and people who are shallow enough to continue to be on the rodent wheel and attack people, be violent, be greedy. Good night. That's what he's saying right here. Good night. Good night. No banquet for you. No exalting for you. No resurrection. Good night. No resurrection compensation. That's what he's talking about. Nothing stored in heaven for you. You expected a return. So those who serve God are going to be present at the dinner. Those who serve mammon, they're going to darkness. Bye-bye. Since you liked material things, you don't come with us who love heart-to-heart life. You wouldn't join the heart-to-heart team, so we're going to say see ya, wouldn't want to be ya. That's what the Master's saying here. It's very simple. That where I am, you may be also. And that where I am, my servant will be. Which goes back to what is a servant? Because he's calling you a servant based upon the criteria right here. He's not talking about being adopted and getting privileges and TV kind of stuff. And the Pope, kiss my ring, I'm going to a banquet again, we're going to buy Van Gogh's painting and all this kind of nonsense out there in Babylon. Fake church. They had an advertisement in L.A. The museum is showing the Pope's painting of the Starry Night, which he bought for $400,000, and he has it in his home, in the Medici room. That's where he has it. And he stares at it, and he paid $400,000 for it. That the poor people gave him money, so he bought it with that money, which could have fed. Which could have housed, which could have given fresh water to who, which could have built a what? An orphanage, and on this goes, right? And you don't think the Lord's cognizant of all that? That they bought a $400,000 painting or something? And they're staring at it, bragging about it? Ooh, I own material that's valuable. Oh, it's amazing. I worship that artist. Van Gogh or something. I like Van Gogh too. But he's just another painter, and that's all he is. So the living are going to go to the party, and the dead can't come, which is the bottom line. And the living are the ones who are active. That's what the Master's saying. Because we're done with this lesson. I'm done. So what we have is the dead stored on the earth, and that's what you get. That's why the Master said, and they have their reward. People who look for a reward, they have their reward. That's the point. Since you have a heart of love, and it matters very little if anybody gives you back something for what you gave, and you love inviting the poor and the handicapped, which the Master told you to do, and they didn't give you anything. He said, don't look for anything again. Don't ask for anything. Now stop right there. Is that the American dream? No. Is that republicanism? No. I'm not putting down republicanism entirely. I'm just telling you that it's a very big, giant weakness in a lot of these political and social events. Because they're contradicting the master, and that's not good. I don't care if you are Mr. Do-Goody. Who was that cartoon they used to have? Not Mr. America. They used to have a cartoon about a guy who always did good all the time. Listen, you can do good all the time, and we're rejoicing with you in that. But repentance and baptism and aligning yourself with the commands and the criteria of the master, that's the goal here. And getting lost in republicanism kind of stuff is not good. Because the American dream can never contradict the teachings of the master. If it does, watch yourself. That's my point. Because who's right? The American dream and Thomas Jefferson, or Jesus Christ, whenever Thomas Jefferson contradicts the master? I'm going to tell you right now, Jesus never contradicts himself, and Tommy Jefferson will. He'll get things a little twisted. In spite of it, in spite of the preamble to the Declaration of Independence, being moreover a very wonderful document. Don't get me wrong. I can find some holes in it, and we just exposed some holes in some of the Americanism that we enjoy and so forth right here. Because let me share this with you. It's compensation actualization, to put it in some big words for you, which means it's you being aware of what compensation is, according to Matthew chapter 6. What is compensation? Where is a safe deposit box? That's what the master is bringing home right here. That the safe deposit box is not your safe deposit box, and it's not safe. But he's saying that the safe deposit box is compensation actualization, and that is the situation. If you got it mixed up, get it right. That's the point. Because the rapture and the banquet are the same thing. Okay? Luke 14:31, we're just about done. Shall not taste of my supper. Shall not taste of my supper. So the only party in town, the only way to taste it is the criteria he just gave. And by the way, this is not all the criteria for getting to the banquet. We can go to John 5, John 8. There's more criteria that's very serious. There's a lot of criteria. He's giving you a lot of the basics here. Because the office that you're working in has a lot of stuff you're doing, isn't it? But he didn't go into office work, did he? Paul does, but verse 35 is office work. And that's Luke 12. We went from 14 back to 12. But these 3 or 4 chapters reveal with getting ready for the rapture, and the criteria, are you ready? That famous song, again, back to secular music, no. Get ready, because here I come. And conceptualization, compensation, actualization, know the situation. That's what I'm telling you. Get your mind in order about what real returns are. Because you shall not taste of my supper. Why? Because you weren't disciplined in the church, and you didn't bear your cross, and some of people started and quit, and not good. That's what he's saying. And the dead are the people in verse 20. That's Luke 14:32. The dead are unfaithful. They didn't have confidence in denial and switching in the field that they had for the pearl. They wouldn't switch in their field of material and life for a life of denials. And they didn't do what Mrs. Zebedee said she was going to do. I'm able to bear the cross. I'm able to drink the same cup, Lord Jesus, that you're going to drink. I'm open to it, and I'm not going to, no excuses. The master uses the word excuse, right there. And they with all consent began to make excuse. They're TV minions and they're people of today. He's teaching them all this stuff, and they're going, hey, dude, wait a minute. I have a business, and I want to hoard money for the future. I want to comfortable. I want to put my confidence in money. And I like that idea because a lot of people do. And they began to, in all consent. This is pretty interesting. They did it together. They were in unison rejecting a life of denial, selling all you have, and getting busy in the church, and getting very little, and asking for nothing again. Some of these people are very smart people. They're putting all this together, see, and they've come to a conclusion that no way. We got you, Master. We got you, Jesus, but we just don't got you. That's it. And they all began to make excuses. Now he's going to go into what's going to happen to those who make excuse, and we already went over that. We're done. It's not good. That's how serious the offer to serve is, and to comply and walk away. It's very serious. We don't want anybody going into the worm dieth, fire, weeping stuff forever. We don't want that. That's why we push. Serve, get an office. Put on the servant heart. Don't be offended and ashamed at the exchange office. Go ahead and exchange everything in your field. Be open to it and be a winner. That's what a winner is, okay? Verse 33, forsaketh not all that he has. How many times does the Master talk about being able to forsake all that you have? Every which way but Sunday. It is the gospel, by the way. Remaining in church active duty, putting on holiness, and of course, forsaking all that you have, which is the same thing he said in the pearl of great price, trading everything in the field, and being open to it. That's all he's saying. And men who are not active in the heart-mending liberation team, because that's what we are. We are the heart-mending, find the broken, find the beaten down. People come to church, they've been beaten up by the devil. The devil is a man-thruster. He tosses people everywhere. He abuses, he beats. And then after people have been confused, they've been in Las Vegas, they've lost their money, they're beaten down, they went to jail, and they're drunk driving, and they come to church, and there we are sitting there waiting there with open arms. You know what? We're here. We're the love recovery team. Let's just forget about what you've done, and let's focus on you girding up your loins and joining the team. And hating evil and loving righteousness and binding up the brokenhearted yourself. You came in here with a broken heart. Freely you received, freely give. You were restored freely without any purchase, without any payment, and you do the same thing. You join us. That's what we do here. Okay? Jeremiah is done with the only party in town. It's the supper. It's where you're going. As a matter of fact, this is the first time the Master mentioned where you're going in the Gospels. That's 40.8. There was 8 chapters before he went into where you're going with all this. You're going to a supper. He gives the criteria for getting there before chapter 8, but right there in 8:11, he tells you that I'm going to have a supper for everybody who's paying attention. Pay attention. That's it. I'm done. The only party in town, part 1, part 2, and part 3. This is very significant stuff here. This is some of the bottom line criteria. I've gone over a lot of this already in my video, but I'm giving a different twist on it right now, a different turn, and we're clarifying some issues that I haven't clarified before. It's impossible to clarify just about everything in the red letters of the Master. However, I am doing, I think, a fair job in going over these things with you. Okay? I'm just one teacher online, and you might want to have other teachers or whatever. But I will cover the basic with you pretty much in this ministry alone. I have we're headed to 100 and something I have a gazillion videos now online. And they're focused on what? The red letters. Hebrews chapter 1, verse 1. I'm done. Shalom, Maranatha. What are we listening for? We're listening for the voice of the archangel and the trump of God. All the time. Take me, Lord. I'm listening and I'm waiting and I'm active. I love being on the love recovery team. And I think it's a privilege to be on the love recovery team. I don't even deserve to be working on the love recovery team. Once again, Shalom, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven as a bride for her husband. Let's get going. Jeremiah is shutting down. Shalom.